So we have been going through the Emacs manual. We've covered quite a bit of ground here, and today I want to go through this chapter 13, which is the registers section. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. This should be a pretty short section, as again I have running the key so you actually can see what commands I am typing. So with that, let's get started. So Emacs registers are compartments where you can save text, rectangles, positions and other things for later use. So once you save text or rectangle in a register, you can copy it back into the buffer once or many times. Once you save a position in a register, you can jump back to that position in the buffer or file again many times. Okay, so it's very useful to sort of store this information. Each register has a name that consists of a single character. For example, R can be a letter, or A, or it can be a number such as 1, and it is case sensitive. So small a is not the same as capital A. Okay. Now you cannot have a register name with Control G or escape, because these keys are reserved for specific purposes. Now you can store a position, a piece of text, rectangle, a number, a window configuration, file name, but you can only store one thing in the register. Whatever you store in the register remains there until you store something else in the register. To see what is there in the register, you can do Alt X view register. So let me also share the documentation link in the chat, so you can follow along. Alright, so let's do Alt X view register, enter R. Register R is empty because you have not stored anything there. Right? All of the commands that prompt for a register will display a preview window that lists the existing registers after a short delay. So if you want to change this length of delay, you can customize this register -preview -delay variable. To prevent this display, you can set this option to nil. You can always explicitly request a preview window by using Control H or F1. Bookmarks are used to record files and positions in them, so you can return to those positions when you look at the file again. Let's say you're doing some development work and then you want to save a specific code location which you want to come back be after the weekend, right? Then you can actually bookmark that in the file. They are similar to registers, so we will cover that in this section also. So these are the specific examples we want to go through today. Now, saving positions in registers, you can use Control X R space R. Here R stands for, first R is for recording the position, and second R is the name of the register. Okay, it calls point to register. Similarly, you can jump to the specific location in the buffer saved in the R register using Control X RJR. Okay, let's try this. So can I try this on this read-only buffer? Control X R space R. Okay, so it's in absolutely I have marked. Now if I go to some other location and I try to go back to that location, I will say Control X R jump to R, it goes back to A. So this one works fine, right? So I am able to go back to that saved position from the register. So Control X R space followed by character R saves both the position of the point and the current buffer in register R. So it also stores point and the buffer. So this register retains this information until you store something else. Similarly, we have Control X RJR switches to the buffer recorded in the register R, pushes a mark and moves the point to the recorded position. So suppose I am going to the scratch buffer, right? And here if I do Control X R J R, it switches to the Emacs buffer and it goes to the capital letter A in absolutely, which is where we save this value. Right. The mark is not pushed if point was already there at the recorded position. The contents of the register are not changed, so you can jump to the saved position any number of times. If you use Control X RJ to go to a saved position, but the buffer has been killed, it will try to create the buffer again by visiting the same file. Of course, this works only for buffers that were visiting files. Okay, so you are able to save a position to register and go to that position in a buffer. Now, we can also save text in registers. So if you want to insert a copy of the same text in several times, instead of just yanking it to the kill ring, you can move it to the register, because every time you kill something, it gets pushed to the kill ring buffer, right? So you will not be able to retrieve it if it overrides the circular kill ring buffer. So the alternative is to store the text in the register and you can retrieve it. So to copy a region to register R, use Control X R S R, just copy to register, and similarly you can insert the text from the register using Control X R I R. You can also do append and prepend. You can append the region to the text in the register R using Alt X append to register R. You can prepend using Alt X prepend to register and enter and R. So let's try these examples here. So let's go to the scratch buffer. So maybe I can just type something here, store the text in a register and later retrieve it. Right. So let's highlight something here. Alternative is to, right? I have selected this text and I want to copy it to register. So I do Control X R S R. It was copied. I can paste this text from the register using Control X R insert R. Right, so that is taken from the register. Now, how do I view the register list? We can say Alt X view register. If I press R, so it says that the register contains this alternative is to text. Right. Okay. So we can append to the text. Let's say I want to append this string, this phrase here. So I can do Alt X append to register R. So now if I want to insert from the register, Control X R I R gives me the appended text. Similarly, I can prepend. Let's say I want to prepend this and word and a phrase. I can say Alt X prepend to register, enter R. Now I want to insert this from the register. I can say Control X R I R. So it gets prepended and we see the full text here. Now when register R contains text, you can also use control X R plus increment to append to the register. Okay. Now the command control X R plus behaves differently if R contains a number. We will look at number registers next. One important point here to remember is if the mark is inactive, Emacs will first reactivate the mark where it was last set. The mark is deactivated at the end of the command. Suppose if you use control U and then control X RSR, the prefix argument, this copies this text into register R, of course, but it will delete the text from the buffer as well. So this is like cutting from the buffer and moving the region of text into the register. Similarly, if append to register is invoked with the prefix argument, it deletes the region after appending to the register. Okay. So when you are collecting text using append to register and prepend to register, you may want to separate out the individual collected pieces using a separator. So there is a variable you can specify that using register hyphen separator, which will store the separated text. For example, if you want to get double new lines as a text separator, you can have these settings in your Emacs configuration file. So when you insert from the register, Emacs will leave the point after the text and sets the mark before without activating it. With the prefix argument like control U, it puts the point before the text and the mark after. Okay, that's just some observed behavior. Now we can also save rectangles. We have seen rectangles in the previous stream. So register can contain a rectangle instead of linear text. So to copy the rectangle region, use copy rectangle to register function, just control X RRR, and similarly to insert we use control X RIR. So if it contains a rectangle, it just inserts that. So let's try that. So let me mark a rectangle. Maybe we can mark this rectangle here, right? Control X R R R and then control X R I R. Right, so it just copies that rectangle and pastes it here. Now we can also save window configuration in registers. So the window configuration of a selected frame in a register, or even the window configuration of all windows in all frames, and you can restore that configuration. Now Windows comes a bit later in the manual, so we will not cover this, but the commands are similar. To store the window state to a register, control X R, you specify W and then the name of the register. Similarly, you want to save restore from the register, you do control X R, F and R. Okay. So if you go back to the manual, so after registers we have controlling the display and so on. So here is the Windows section, right? So when we do that, we can cover that. But the commands are quite similar, right? So the mnemonics have been designed in such a way that it's quite easy for us to use them, whether it is a text or it's a rectangle or a string. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So control X RJR will restore a window or frame configuration. This is the same command used to restore a cursor position. When you restore a frame configuration, any existing frames not included in the configuration become invisible. Okay. If you want to delete these frames, you can just use Control U, Control X RJR. Next is to store number in register, and then you can also increment those numbers in the registers. So use Control U, specify a number, and then you say Control X RNR to store that number in the register. Now to insert the number, again use Control X RIR, very similar to what we have seen earlier. Now suppose if you want to increment the number, you can do Control U. This is the number refers to how much is the change you want to do, and then Control X R plus R. Right. So let's try that here. So I'm going to do Control U phi Control X R and R. Now to insert this, I say Control X R I R. So that's number 5, whatever is got stored there. Now I can increment this, right? Say Control U 4 Control X R plus R. Then I can do Control X R I R to insert it. That becomes 9. 5 plus 4 is 9, right? So that's the increment operation. Note that Control X R plus or increment register will behave differently if R contains a text. Now Control X R plus with no numeric argument increments the value by 1, which is like the default setting, and Control X R N with no numeric argument will store 0 in the register. There are some default settings there. We can also store file names in registers. If you are visiting certain file names frequently, you can visit them by putting the names in the registers. So this is the Emacs Lisp code to put this file name into register R. Set register R, file and this name. So there is an example here which maps this file to the Z register. Okay. When we go through Emacs Lisp manual, we'll learn more about how to write your own functions and so on, but you can actually use this in your Emacs configuration. To visit the file name in the register R, we just use Control X RJR. This is the same command used to jump to a position or restore a frame configuration. Keyboard macros also come a bit late. We go and check the thing. So that comes after commands for fixing typos in the manual. So we will look at those macros a bit later. A macro is a combination of keys that you repeatedly use and you want to store them. So you can retrieve them by just typing a command, right? So you can have these keyboard macros put in a register, and you have to use Control X Control K XR, which basically calls K macro to register, stores the last keyboard macro in a register R, and to execute it you just use Control X RJR, very similar to what we use to jump to a position or restore a frame set. And the last section here is bookmarks. These are used to record positions that you can jump to. Unlike registers, they have long names and they persist from one Emacs session to the next. Right. So typically these are where you are reading in various files. You want to bookmark a position, or you are debugging something in a code, you want to go back to that code location in a file, right? those are places where you want to bookmark. How do you set the bookmark? Control X, R, M, enter sets the bookmark for this file at a point. You can specify the name of the bookmark using Control X, R, M, bookmark, enter, which basically runs bookmark -set. Control X, R, capital M, bookmark will not overwrite if there is a bookmark that already exists. And to jump to a bookmark, you just say Control X, R, B, bookmark, enter. You can view the list of bookmarks using Control X, RL, which basically calls list -bookmarks. And you can save all the current bookmarks to a default bookmark file using alt X bookmark save. So let's maybe try this. Say I want to mark this 5 position here, Control X, R, M. This is not a file. Let's write this to some test.txt file. We save this to a test/temp/text.txt file. Say number 5, I want to set the bookmark here, right? So Control X, R, M, bookmark, right? That is saved. Now if I do this again at some other location, right? Control X, R, M, bookmark, it says the bookmarks already exist, right? So if I want to go to that bookmark, Control X, R, B, bookmark, enter. It goes to the point at 5, right? To view the list of bookmarks, I just say Control X, R, L. It tells me I have one bookmark in /temp/test.txt file. So that is explained here. Now when you kill Emacs, Emacs will save your bookmarks if you have changed any bookmark values. The default file is home/.emacs.d/bookmarks. For older versions of Emacs, if you have like home/.emacs.bmk, then that is used. The bookmark commands load your default bookmark files automatically, and this saving and loading is persistent across Emacs sessions. If you set the variable bookmark save flag to 1, each command that sets a bookmark will also save your bookmarks. This way that if something happens to Emacs, you don't lose these values. The value, if it's a number, it says how many bookmarks modification should go between saving. If you set this variable to nil, Emacs will only save when you explicitly call alt X bookmark save. So it's actually good to have this automated so that you don't forget to save your bookmarks if you're heavily using Emacs for say documentation or writing or taking notes and so on. The variable bookmark default file specifies the file to save the bookmarks. Now you can use bookmark use annotations to true. It will query for an annotation. This will actually show in a separate window when you jump to the bookmark. Now the bookmark position values are saved with the surrounding context as well. So the bookmark jump can find the proper position even if the file is modified slightly. And the variable bookmark search size says how many characters of context to record on each side of the bookmark's position. There are some additional commands given here. If you have all the bookmarks stored in a file, you can use alt text bookmark load, enter, and the file name enter to load the bookmark values. Again, you can use this command and bookmark write to work with other files of bookmark values. Right? Let's say you are working on a specific project and you want to have project specific bookmarks, right? Then it's useful to have these. Alt text bookmark write to write the values to that file name. Alt text bookmark delete to delete all the bookmark name bookmark. You can also insert in the buffer the name of the file that bookmark points to. So use alt text bookmark insert location. If you want to insert in the buffer the contents of the file itself that the bookmark points to, you use alt text bookmark insert, enter bookmark name and enter. So that's a quick introduction to registers. In the next streaming session, we will look at controlling displays. That's chapter 14. So this ends this session. Let me paste the link to the channel where I'll upload today's video and also the GitHub location where I have the quick reference notes from today's session also pushed. Feel free to watch this video again and try to use these registers and bookmarks on your system. Again, I have not done any customization. This one is running just plain vanilla GNU Emacs 27.1. Later on we will learn how to do customization. With that, I will end this stream and the recording.